Welcome back, everyone. In this lesson, we want to take a look at securing what SQL Server refers to as securables. Let's go ahead and connect to SQL Server Management Studio. So just about anything in SQL Server can be called a securable. That would be our stored procedures, functions, views, which we haven't discussed yet, but we will. User accounts, everything can be referred to as a securable. Anything that can basically receive some sort of a security so access has been restricted is a securable. Let's take a look at our security folder under logins. Now, in the previous lessons, we created this login for the group Loonies, which I believe included Daffy Duck, Porky Pig, and Bugs Bunny. And Bugs Bunny himself was granted a separate login. You notice the icons are also a little different. We got two little heads over here. Let's go down, right-click Loonies, and choose Properties. And under User Mapping, I can see that we granted AdventureWorks 2019 was selected, and they were given DB Data Writer and DB Data Reader. Suppose that I want to allow Loonies to execute our stored procedure. As a refresher, we created a transaction as a stored procedure for AdventureWorks LT 2019. Under programmability, we have this stored procedure, add model and description, which goes and actually adds to 3 tables using a transaction. Let's see that in action again, just so we can we have something to reference with. I'm going to open up a brand new query right here, and let me make this a little bit smaller. I'm going to call exec add, and there it is. And you recall that this required a product name and a product description, and optionally a culture, which we set a default value to English. So let's say I'm going to put in awesome product as a product name with a description of awesome description. And let's say this is a German product. Okay, so good. Let's go ahead and execute that. Now we're logged in as student here. I'm logged in as my student account, which has full access. I'm going to execute this. And commands completed successfully. We can verify, for instance, if I do select star top 1 from sales LT dot product model and highlight that. Okay, got that backwards. And you can see that, well, I need to order by, sorry. Order by product model ID descending. So ours should show up on top now. And there it is. There's our awesome product. Then we can also check the description, the product description table, and the product model product description table, and everything should be fine. Now suppose I want to grant the Loonies ability to execute this procedure. Let's actually see how that is done. I'm going to go back to the security folder, and I'm going to go and right-click Loonies and choose Properties. Now the first inclination you might have is, well, I'm going to grant AdventureWorks LT 2019 since I'm logged in for Loonies right here. And I'm going to grant them the ability to read and write. After all, when they execute, they are writing to the database. Let's see if that is in fact the case. I'm going to make those changes, and I'm going to go ahead and switch to Daffy Duck. Let's bring up Daffy. And let's log in. And I'm going to start SQL Server Management Studio, which can take a moment to come up. Here it is coming up, and we'll just wait a moment for it to load. Let's go ahead and we can see we're logging in as deduct. Let's check out our databases. And there is 2019. And let me go ahead and open up a new query window here. And make this a bit smaller. That's better. So I'm going to try to execute add model, and you can see that it doesn't even show up in the list. What's going on here? Let's take a look at programmability, stored procedures. It's not even there. It doesn't even let us see it, much less execute it. We could try to execute it, but add model and description, I think it was called, and let's say I'm going to add A and A. Just keeping it simple. Very simple. I want to try to execute this. It says the execute permission was denied on the object add model and description. So we were clever enough to know that there is such a thing there to begin with, but we're denied access. Just because you have read-write access to tables doesn't mean that by default gives you various permissions on the other securables. So let's see how we can alleviate this situation. And in fact, do I really want to give read and write permission to, say, end users who may be running a batch? Suppose that we have this situation. Suppose I want to give a bunch of end users ability to run this procedure, but they don't need to see what's inside the database or have direct write access to it. So this procedure masks all that for us. Can we do that? Well, the answer is yes, we can. Let's see how it's done. I'm going to go ahead and close this and switch back to table, the student account, I apologize. So let me go ahead and switch back to student here. How do we do this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and close the security folder. And you see this is at the top level. This is at the server level. I'm interested in AdventureWorks 2019 specifically. And notice there is a security folder underneath each database as well. We have users, roles, schemas, asymmetric keys, all kinds of stuff. I'm interested in users right now, and if I expand that, it's clear that Loonies is there. But before doing anything to that, I'm going to go back to the other security folder, which is at the server level, and right-click Loonies and choose Properties. And under User Mapping, I am going to select AdventureWorks LT 2019. I'm going to uncheck DB Data Writer, DP Data Reader. I'm just going to allow public access, which all it does, it allows them to log in and pretty much just see the icon for the database. There's not much more they can do. But they won't be able to read or write anything to this database. So that's at the server level. Now I'm going to go specifically into the database itself, and I do have the Loonies account in there because I added it at the server level down here. I'm going to right-click this one and choose Properties. And you notice this is a little bit different. Similar, but not exactly the same. Under General, we can see that it shows our account and what schema. We can assign it a schema that it can own. I don't want to do that. Memberships, can I make him a member of DB Data Writer, DB Data Reader, which I could have done at the server level too, but I don't want to do that. And then we have this thing called Securables, which is blank right now. Two windows, the Securables and the permissions on those Securables. Let's do a search. And I'm going to search for all objects of types. And then here you can see all the various securables, objects that you can secure showing up. We're interested in stored procedures. So I'm going to select that and choose OK. And all my stored procedures for that database show up, including add model and description. Once I have this selected, down below I can decide what level of permission or access I want to give them. I want to give the end users execute permission. I don't want to be able to alter this in any way. control anything, take ownership, or even view how it was created, that is the code. We have this option to deny, of course, which I don't want to do, but we also have the option with grant. And what that means is that if I grant, loonies execute, which is what I'm doing, they will also have the option to grant this to someone else, which I don't want them to be able to do. So I'm just going to select the grant and click OK. Good, that was for loonies. Let's switch back to Daffy Duck. So I'm going to go back to Daffy. And log in here. Let's bring up SQL Server Management Studio. Takes a little while. Here's the login. I'm going to click Connect. Now let's check out databases again. I notice we are logged in as Daffy this time. If I go in here and, interestingly enough, let's look at tables, and you see our tables don't even show up anymore because we don't have any access to read or write. Under programmability, under stored procedures, there is our procedure, which wasn't showing up before, but now it shows up. Let's see if it works. So I'm going to do an execute, add. At least it shows up in the IntelliSense now, which is great. And we're going to add Sunny product, which has a Sunny description. And let's say it's English, so I'm just going to leave the culture. No, let's put the French in there too, so FR for France. I'm going to click execute here. And the command was completed successfully. Of course, if I try to do a select statement right here, sales LT dot, and you notice that it doesn't, the IntelliSense doesn't even work anymore. So product model, it's going to tell me that I'm denied access. I misspelled product, so that doesn't count. Product model. And the select permission was denied because we don't have read access. But the stored procedure worked, and we can go back to student. Let's do that and verify that. So we have a Sunny product that we added. Let's see if the Sunny product is in fact there. So let's go over here and run this. The last time we did this right here, but now Daffy added something. So this should potentially go to 142, and we should have a Sunny product. And there it is. So you can see you have complete control over what users can do. Question might come up, well, how would the user who's entering this be assured that it was added? Well, they get a message, they can get friendly messages that can be put into the transaction, the add model and description that it was in fact added. And we can even create another separate stored procedure that they can run, where they can see that it was added without being able to see anything else that's in the table. But you have complete control over that. And these things are called securables. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are enjoying these videos, please share, and with loved ones, with friends, with everyone. And as always, thank you for watching and being a great audience.